Hey guys, it's Dr. G. We're going to be talking about planning and decision making this week. Um, yeah, as typical, I'm not going to go over the learning outcomes, but please do review them. The focus on planning has to do with increasing the effort, getting people more persistent, giving everybody a direction, and creating strategies for attacking tasks. On the other hand, it sometimes prevents change from occurring or slows the organization's adaptation, and sometimes makes people feel like there's a false sense of security. Don't worry, we have a plan, it's all good. Um, One of the key models of goal setting is what's called SMART goals. And you'll see it again and again. It's not just in the management literature. As I think I mentioned, I'm a fitness trainer too, and we talk about SMART goals in fitness too. A goal to be effective needs to have five characteristics. It has to be specific. So if you say, I want to do better, that's not really going to likely help your achievement because better is pretty ambiguous. You need to say, I want to get um, at least a grade of a 90 in this class, or I want to be able to do a plank for 2 minutes by the end of 60 days or something. It needs to be measurable. So again, when you say I want to do better, well, that's not really measurable per se. But if you say I want to be able to do a plank for 2 minutes, you can time that and figure out if it's actually doable, or if you want to figure out how many push-ups you can do or something. It needs to be attainable. So I set a plank for 2 minutes. Most people, if they're reasonably physically fit and put their heart into it, can do that over the course of, say, a 2-month period of practice. But if I were to say, do a plank for 20 minutes, that's probably not very attainable. Most people would not be able to do that. Consistent with that, it needs to be realistic. So if you miss half the quizzes in this class and you say, well, I want to be able to get an A, that's probably not very realistic. I'd say, look at the syllabus, it's not going to happen. And it needs to be timely. And by timely, we mean it needs to be linked to some unit of time. So I want to be able to do a 2-minute plank by the end of 2 months, or I want to be able to get an A in all of my classes for the current semester, etc. So it needs to be tied to time. And in order for a goal to work, people have to be committed to a goal, and setting SMART goals helps in that regard. But other things that help in the commitment to goals include setting goals collectively. So we as a group, everybody in here, we're going to work really hard to make sure that our group wiki turns out as good as can possibly be because we all benefit by getting the A. So together as a collective, we set the goal. Making the goal public. So if you, and this is again where a lot of New Year's resolutions fail, is people think in their head, oh, well, I want to be more fit or I want to lose weight or, whatever the goal is, but they kind of think it in their head. When you make a goal public, there's some sort of accountability that you have to people. And to give you an example, I recently participated in a push-up challenge. It was 22 push-ups for 22 days to raise awareness to the fact that each day 22 veterans commit suicide. Well, what happened was 6 days, 5 days, I think, into, I posted it on Facebook, and each day I posted the video of myself doing the 22 push-ups. So it was a very public goal. What happened was on day 5, I got into a car accident, and it really messed up my neck. I couldn't move my neck very well. And so that evening, I sort of grappled with, well, do I do the push-ups? Do I don't do the push-ups? Everybody knows that I'm supposed to be doing 22 push-ups a day. I've made this very public. So despite the fact that my neck was killing me, I did the push-ups that night, which my chiropractor said I shouldn't have. But had I not made the goal public, I probably wouldn't have really thought twice about it. But making the goal public holds you accountable. So it's always a good way to get more committed to goals. And getting top management support. So you may want to do one thing, but if top management doesn't support it, chances are your goals are going to fall flat. An action plan is a list of, once you have a goal set in mind, you have to figure out, well, how are you going to achieve it? So am I just going to, if I have this 2-minute plank goal, am I just going to get down on my hands and knees and do a plank tomorrow and hope that it's 2 minutes? Probably not. But I might say, okay, well, I need to strengthen my core, so let's figure out how I'm going to do that. what people do I need to enlist for help, what resources do I need? There's a boatload of resources on the internet on, how to take a plank challenge or whatever. And what time period do I have for accomplishing this goal? You also need to track progress. So one of the things that make people fail at goal setting is they don't know really where they're starting from. So you need to figure out, firstly, where am I today and where do I want to be? And then figure out what these proximal, close to now. So if I can do a plank for 1 minute now, and my goal is 2 minutes, where do I think I need to be in 2 weeks time, in 4 weeks time, in 6 weeks time, so on and so forth, and get feedback. So you want to actually assess it along the way and figure out how well you're doing. Not going to go into that. You need to maintain some flexibility. The truth is, actually, when I've taught group dynamics in the past, I've actually had my students come up with group goals, and they had to monitor their progress each week. They were usually fitness related because they're easier to observe and easier to monitor and maintain. But there needs to be some flexibility. So if everybody had a health or fitness related goal and they did it in the spring semester, they needed to account for the fact, well, the reality is during spring break, all bets are off. So yes, on over the course of, a 15-week semester, we plan on increasing our the number of push-ups we can do as a group. But as a practical matter, during spring break, it's not like we're going to be doing a lot of fitness-related things, and unless you count putting a beer to your mouth as a fitness activity. So you need to actually have some flexibility built into your plan because things will happen. So you want to have slack resources. So if you're, so for example, I mentioned I had a car accident. Obviously, that wasn't a plan, and so if I look at our family's financial plan, I have to have some slack resources in there to cover things like a rental car that exceeds the time it takes for my car to get fixed and so on and so forth. So you need to be able to have enough resources, both human capital resources and financial resources, to allow for things that you don't figure into your plan. Excuse me. When we talk about planning, usually it comes from the top to the bottom. So at the top level of the organization, there's a vision and a mission that kind of sets out, we want to be the leader in our industry, or we want to have the best customer service in our industry. And then that filters its way down to middle managers who come up with tactical plans. And tactical plans are, okay, well, if we want to be the leader in terms of customer service, what sorts of plans do we need for recruiting people, for example, that are going to be the best customer service personnel. And then those trickle their way down to first level managers who are actually the ones that are implementing the plans created by higher level managers. So at the top, it's usually a strategic plan that's long term. So it's over the course of, the book says 2 to 5 years. Typically, I see 3 to 5 years. And there needs to be a purpose statement. What is the company's purpose or reason for existing? And a strategic objective, which is a little bit more specific in terms of what the company is going to do. Going down to middle level managers who come up with these tactical plans usually take place over the course of between 6 months and 2 years. So they're sort of intermediate goals, or what we're going to call, management by objective. So given what the mission and vision say, what are we as middle level managers going to plan for the next 6 months to 2 years to sort of be mini goals within that broader goal. And at the first level manager or lower level manager position within the organization, they're usually things such as operational plans. Okay, so if we said we want to have better customer service people, what are we going to do where are we going to recruit them from? What sort of measures are we going to use to select who the most likely customer service gurus are going to be, so on and so forth. And we also need to have budgets for figuring out how we're going to achieve that.